Like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds or you won't be able to edit a montage.
What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Cudi here with a brand new video. As you see by the title of the video, guys, I will be showing you guys pretty much how to make a color correction for your Fortnite montage. This was a highly requested tutorial on my last tutorial that I made, which was my how to have effects tutorial. If you guys haven't checked it out, please go ahead and follow that tutorial. This is where we're at this point in time. I'm just simply adding a color correction to finish off this montage that we made together. So I have a whole complete series. If you guys want to know how to make Fortnite montages, go ahead. First link on the top left right there. Click on that link. It will take you to the first original video and pretty much what we've done so far in this tutorial series. So we're pretty much at the end point at this point. I'm going to show you guys how to make a color correction. The next tutorial can definitely be on sound effects if you guys would really want me to do that. But let's just finish this bad boy up right now. For the sake of this video, guys, I will be using a different clip just to kind of switch it up. I usually tend to switch up my clips. Usually every single clip, like the last tutorial was a nice and bright clip. Now it's a dark outside kind of colored clip. So what we're gonna do, last time what we did was add glow, screen pumps, and shake. We added a couple of effects, which was really nice for a tutorial, for a montage, and it's looking really clean so far. All I'm gonna do now at this point is really just explain the differences about what colors to use for your color correction and kind of what kind of vibe you want to go for. So typically for this song that we're listening to, if we listen to it real quick,
Ever seen a nigga hung with a gold chain? I'd rather sing about the same things that we claim.
It's a hard-hitting banger, really hip-hop. It's by XXXTentacion, and so with that type of song, I usually bring up the color wheel anytime I use a song. So it's kind of my workflow for my color correction. So you can see the screen right now. I have this color wheel. This color wheel I kind of use just depending on the vibe. Usually for colors, for example, like an orange, a red orange, I kind of think, or even yellow orange, I just kind of think of summer vibes. You know, it's nice and warm out there, the sun's out, so I would definitely use that type of song. Like I don't know, like usually for whatever song you're using, you want to use colors that kind of match to it. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys a simple but clean color correction. I probably won't be using any of these colors in reality, but I just thought it was a really important thing to kind of mention, that it is important to know which colors to use for what song that you're using, depending on the vibe, obviously. So that's really the first step, is finding out the vibe, what type of song it is and what you want to use. With this being a hard-hitting banger for hip-hop, I'm definitely be using a darker contrast kind of CC, and I'll be showing you guys how I do that step by step. So just to show you guys what we have so far. Like I said, it's a really hard-hitting beat, so let's just go straight into it. I'm going to show you guys what to do. So just like any other tutorial, what we do is click layer, new, adjustment layer. We're gonna go ahead and drag that on top of every other single adjustment layer over here, just because we don't want the CC to be affected by our glow or our screen pumps or our shake. Okay, we want to make sure it's on top of every single layer. Any layer that's on top of another layer usually affects that one. For example, like this shake right here, if I drag this shake up here, it's gonna affect all these other layers over here, and that usually does not look good. So just make sure that your color correction is always on top of all the other layers. We're gonna rename this to CC for short, and we're gonna go to our effects and presets tab, and we're gonna go ahead and look up film. Film is a third-party plugin by Magic Bullet Looks. I'm sure you can get it free out there somewhere, so just make sure you guys find a way for you to get it for free if you can. If not, just pay for it. But yeah, RG Magic Bullet Looks, that's exactly what we're using for this tutorial. Make sure you guys can get that somewhere on YouTube, okay? We're gonna go ahead and drag that bad boy over to that first adjustment layer. Boom. And you can see there's so much stuff already applied to this CC. We already have a CC pretty much, but it needs to be readjusted quite a bit. So negative stomp and print stock, these things I kind of mess with myself. I just kind of click around and see what I like. So for example, like me clicking that already, just clicking one of these random ones, it looks cleaner already, a lot cleaner than the one that it originally came with. So usually I click around the first one and see which one I like the most out of all those. This blue one might not be too bad, but a little too much, and that's way too dark. So I'm just gonna keep clicking any of these preset negative stocks until I like one that I like. So I think the one I'll probably do is Kodak, this one right here, Kodak 5205 Vision 2 250 OD. And for the print stock, I'm gonna mess with that as well too and see which one I like. Might be Fuji. Yep, we're gonna do Fuji 3510, which is the fourth option on the print stock. So with the film, it already looks nice. It already has a film effect, quote unquote. That's what the whole point of the plugin is. It gives it that film effect. It's a really simple color correction you can make. That's how I make my color corrections all the time. So color temperature, what that does, it's just like color toning. For example, if we really want it to be really warm, it could be a really warm CC. If we want it to be a really dark and cool CC, we definitely could. Obviously, I wouldn't mess with this too much. I don't really like it when it's just like one over the other. If you want it to be warmer, if it's like more of a summer vibes, then go for it. Add the temperature in there. It gives it more of an orange look, as you can see. If it was more of like a darker tone or kind of like icy kind of feel, then definitely go with the darker color right there, which is blue. For the sake of the tutorial, we'll just keep it at 0. Tint, if you just drag over, tint is a different type of color. So we had orange and we had pretty much blue. With this one, if you want to give it like an EDM kind of look, you can definitely drag the tint all the way over. It gives it a purple kind of vibe, which is nice. The other one is just green. So if you had kind of a more of a lightful type of song, something like Kyle would produce, like I Spy or any of those songs, you could definitely use this green tint to kind of give it that vibe. Obviously, I would not exaggerate these all the way over by dragging it. Like I would just definitely just keep it like maybe a little bit like -44 or +44, not too much unless you really want to emphasize the purple. But yeah, that's pretty much it there. The exposure, what that does, it determines how bright the CC is, just exposure wise. For example, if we drag it up, you can see the exposure, the brightness of the color correction. It's really bright and every single clip will look like that. This is a little too dark for me, so what I'm gonna do is gonna go ahead and give it a little bit of exposure. So I'm just gonna drag it over till I like around there. It's not too bad. So let's just kind of preview it a little bit as we go over. Yeah, it's not too bad. So give it a little bit of exposure, which is nice. Contrast, I'll definitely drag that over and see how that looks. Too much contrast there, as you can see. So you can see there's not much contrast going on. You could definitely drag it over and give it some contrast, which will make it a little bit more nicer and cleaner. The contrast makes the darks look a little bit more darker. For example, you can see the dark right here on this character. It's really dark. If I get rid of the contrast and put it all the way to 0, you can see the dark looks gray now, which is not good. So usually I keep it really dark. Make sure the blacks look really black and everything looks clean and simple. Saturation, I highly recommend if you're gonna give it a little bit more of a kind of like a, I guess, quote unquote, pop to it. Saturation is already at 100, but if I really want to make sure it's a vibey kind of feel, I can definitely drag it up and you can see the saturation just go up. But just for the sake of the tutorial, we'll keep it at 100. The skin tone, is not one that I really mess with too much because it really tends to mess with the colors. As you can see on the bottom right here, if I just kind of drag over and I kind of just look at the skin tone, I drag over the skin tone, you can see the colors changing. The purple is a lot darker now. The green is like a yellow, as you can see here and here. So I don't really like to mess with skin tone unless it's kind of a indie type of vibe. So I keep it usually at 0 unless I want to go opposite and give it kind of a different type of vibe. But I don't know, usually with skin tone I don't really like to mess with it too much. If it comes down to you guys, I usually keep everything at 0 just for the sake of this video, because this is more of a hard-hitting banger and I want to make sure it's a hard-hitting banger. Vintage / modern, what that does is pretty much if I drag over the modern, it gives it more of a modern kind of look and feel. With that one, I don't mess with that as much either. I don't really like these kind of preset ones that they have here for film. I'm gonna add more to this just besides using film. So I keep everything at 0 there. The grain I put also at 0 just because the grain I will be doing with a different program or effect. But if you want to, you could keep it at 50 if you like. And what grain does is you can see there's some pixels right there. If I get rid of the grain as a whole, there's no pixels, or noise I should say. So if you want to give it more of like a, for the sake of the tutorial, we'll just keep it at 75, the grain, we'll just keep it at that. So the grain gives it more of a kind of darker, kind of edgier kind of feel to the song, and it definitely suits the vibe for the visual effects that you're watching. The vignette, I usually kind of drag that around as well too. The vignette, if you go all the way up, it doesn't look too good. So I usually just do it like at maybe 19%, just a hint of it's nice, not too much. The strength is how strong you want your color correction to be present within film. If you put the 0, we're back to square one. And if we put it all the way to 100, we're back where we're pretty much what we were doing. So, so far, that's pretty much what I do for my color corrections. I could definitely add on top of this, but that's a simple color correction there. But yeah, there's definitely things you can add on for this color correction so far. So let's just take a look real quick and see how it looks now and see what we can add on top of this.
You ever seen a nigga hung? nigga hung.
So it's looking so great so far. I actually like it a lot, just using one effect, which is insane. Usually for color corrections, I like to add a little bit more. One of the special things that I like to add on top of this is a different plugin called S_flicker. That's going to give it more like that flicker kind of effect on the color correction. That's going to make it look a little bit more edgier and more poppier. Everyone usually tends to add this effect on their montage. So we're going to go ahead and drag that over to our effect tab here, and hopefully this loads. Now for the S flicker, there's a couple things that you can do with the S flicker. You can give it it's more of like a white flicker that goes over the color correction, and it looks really clean. But sometimes I usually don't like to add the extra effects on my color correction. Sometimes it's nice to keep it simple, but I'm going to show you guys what I do when it comes to this song. So immediately right off the bat, there is a flicker, but usually what I tend to do is tone down the flicker because the amplitude is way too high up and the flicker is way too much physically for Fortnite. This is just specifically for Fortnite. This could be different for a different game if it was Valorant or Call of Duty or any other game, for example, as CS as well too. So right off the bat, it's really simple. All you have to do is put the amplitude from 0.2. We're gonna put it to 0.075. And as you can see what that effect is gonna pretty much do, if we just kind of just preview it real quick, it's gonna give this little flicker effect, and it's gonna be kind of hard to notice, but if you pay attention to the screen, you'll definitely notice it 100%.
You ever seen a nigga hung? You ever seen a nigga hung? You ever seen a nigga hung?
So as you can tell, it's like a very subtle flicker. If you can just see the screen me moving around, you see that little flicker, and like if you look in the background here, you will see the flicker. It's flickering the entire time. You see that? So that's all that effect does. If I disable the flicker, you won't see it as much at all. Look at that. Do you see it? It's not there no more. So that's all it does. It gives it more of like an edgier kind of vibe and feel. I like it a lot for my edits. On top of this, all you really have to do at this point, it's usually what I would do for this type of song. You can definitely add sharpen to sharpen up the quality of the video. So we just use that based off After Effects. Just look up sharpen in the effects and presets tab. I'm gonna go ahead and drag the sharpen right over. And usually for the sharpen, the most I would put it to is 15. Anything over 20 just does not look good. But for the sharpen, I usually keep it at just kind of subtle. But as you can see, if we disable it and then enable it, you can see the sharpen around the edges of the character. It looks a lot cleaner, blurrier. If we wanted to really sharpen it, we can put it to 20. And then if we disable and then look at the text right here, just as a reference here. So this is without sharpen, kind of blurry. You can see here, blurry, sharpen. Gives it more of a, I don't know, it gets cleaner look, I should say. Now, like I mentioned already, every single color correction is differently made. I'm just showing you guys how I make one of my color corrections depending on just kind of this edgier kind of song. I thought this would be a perfect song just because we've been editing to this song for quite a while now at this point, and we've been making tutorials back to back on this specific song. And a lot of you guys were just mentioning, like asking how I made paid my dues kind of color correction. This is exactly how I made it. You just want to make sure you're really matching the vibe with your color correction and the song that you're producing with it. So, but this is pretty much how it looks. And there's so much that you can do on top of this too, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just showing you guys how to make a simple and clean color correction. This is just my specific tutorial, kind of explaining the in-depth version of the 3 effects that I applied here for this color correction. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please leave a like, comment down below. Let me know what else you guys want to see on the channel. Do you guys want to see different effects that I apply on top of this? It's just specific, unique effects, or should I just, you know, kind of keep posting on things that I do to kind of finish out this montage completely? We still have to do sound effects, and we still have to do my render export settings at this point. So if you guys want those two, let's just make sure we hit 1,000 likes. If we hit 1,000 likes, I'll definitely continue making these tutorials. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later on the next video, which will probably be a montage or a tutorial. Who knows at this point, like I always say. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys later, and yeah, it's been your boy Cudi, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.